Welcome back to UK Flix, the channel where hidden truths and untold sagas come alive. Tonight, we begin a story that feels almost too dramatic to be real. A tale of secrecy, forbidden love, and a family caught between tradition and transformation. At the heart of this saga is Emma, a daughter raised under the watchful eyes of her parents, expected to follow the path laid out for her. But behind closed doors, Emma was living a double life. One filled with secret meetings, whispered promises, and a romance that no one in her family knew existed. Her secret companion, William, a charismatic businessman whose ambition matched his charm. Their connection was undeniable, but their love was hidden, nurtured in quiet corners away from the world's gaze. What began as innocent rendezvous soon spiraled into a revelation that would shake Emma's family to its core. She was pregnant. From scandal to redemption, from whispers to applause, this is the journey of Emma and William. Over 11 chapters will uncover their hidden dates, shocking revelations, lavish preparations, and the wedding that promises to silence the storm. This is not just a love story, it's a saga, and it begins now. It all began with a single decision. A choice Emma made one quiet evening when the weight of her family's expectations felt too heavy to bear. She slipped out of her room, her footsteps light against the polished floor, her heart pounding with the thrill of rebellion. For Emma, this wasn't just about defiance, it was about freedom, about carving out a space where she could be herself without judgment. The destination was a small, dimly lit room tucked away in the corner of town. It wasn't glamorous, but it was theirs. Inside, waiting with a smile that could melt away her fears, was William. He was older, confident, and carried himself with the kind of authority that made Emma feel both safe and alive. To the outside world, William was a businessman with a reputation for success. To Emma, he was the man who saw her not as a daughter bound by rules, but as a woman with dreams and desires of her own. Their meetings became a ritual. Every week, Emma would find an excuse to leave the house, weaving stories that her parents never questioned. And every week, she and William would meet in that secret room, sharing laughter, whispered plans, and stolen kisses. It was in those moments that Emma felt truly alive, as though she had stepped into a world where love was the only rule that mattered. But secrecy has its price. Emma knew that if her parents discovered the truth, the consequences would be devastating. Her family valued tradition, reputation, and control. A hidden romance with a man outside their circle would be seen as betrayal. Yet the risk only fueled her passion. Each meeting was a gamble, each embrace a defiance of the life mapped out for her. William, too, understood the stakes. He wasn't just risking his relationship with Emma, he was risking his standing in the community. But love, as they say, makes fools of us all. And for William, Emma was worth every risk, every secret, every stolen moment. As the nights passed, their bond grew stronger. What began as a hidden room date was quickly becoming something far more dangerous, an affair of the heart that neither Emma nor William could walk away from. And though they didn't know it yet, this secret would soon set off a chain of events that would change their lives forever. The secret room had become more than just a meeting place. It was a sanctuary. For Emma, every visit felt like stepping into a world where time slowed down, where the noise of her family's expectations faded into silence. In that dimly lit space, she wasn't the dutiful daughter or the symbol of her family's pride. She was simply Emma, a young woman in love. William knew how to make her feel seen. His words carried weight, not because they were grand or poetic, but because they were honest. He spoke of his dreams, his struggles, and the empire he was building brick by brick. And when he looked at Emma, it wasn't with judgment or expectation, it was with admiration. To him, she wasn't just a fleeting romance, she was the partner he had been searching for, someone who could stand beside him in both triumph and turmoil. Their conversations stretched late into the night. They whispered about futures they dared not share with anyone else, plans of traveling the world, building a home together, and living a life free from the chains of tradition. Emma would laugh at William's bold visions, but deep down, she longed for them too. Each whispered promise stitched their hearts closer, weaving a bond that was becoming impossible to break. Yet beneath the warmth of their love, shadows lingered. Emma carried the constant fear of discovery. Every time she returned home, she rehearsed her alibis, praying her parents wouldn't notice the glow in her eyes or the subtle changes in her demeanor. William, too, felt the pressure. His reputation as a businessman meant everything to him, and the thought of scandal threatened to unravel years of hard work. Still, neither could resist the pull of their connection. It was during one of these late-night conversations that William first hinted at permanence. "One day," he whispered, brushing a strand of hair from Emma's face, "we won't have to hide. One day, the world will know you're mine." Emma's heart raced at the thought. It was a promise, a declaration, and a risk all wrapped into one. But promises have consequences. And while Emma clung to William's words, she couldn't shake the feeling that their secret love was a ticking clock, one that would eventually strike, forcing them to face the world they had so carefully avoided. The whispers of love had carried Emma and William through nights of passion and promises, but whispers can only hide so much. One evening, as Emma sat alone in her room, she felt the weight of a truth she could no longer ignore. Her heart raced, her hands trembled, and her mind replayed every secret meeting, every stolen kiss, every whispered vow. The signs were undeniable. Emma was pregnant. The realization struck her like a storm. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. The secret romance that had once felt thrilling now carried consequences that would ripple through her life and her family's reputation. She thought of her parents, of the expectations they had placed upon her, of the disappointment that would surely follow. How could she explain this? How could she reveal that the daughter they thought they knew had been living a life they never imagined? Emma's first instinct was fear, but fear quickly gave way to resolve. She knew she couldn't hide this forever. The truth would surface, whether she confessed it or not. And so, she turned to the only person who could share the burden, William. When she told him, his reaction was not what she expected. He didn't recoil or panic. Instead, he took her hands in his and whispered, "This is our future. Not a mistake, not a scandal, our future." William's words were steady, but Emma could see the flicker of worry in his eyes. He understood the gravity of the situation. His reputation as a businessman was built on respect and trust. A scandal of this magnitude could shatter everything he had worked for. Yet, in that moment, he chose love over fear. He promised Emma that he would stand by her, that they would face the storm together. But storms are unpredictable. As days passed, Emma's secret began to weigh heavier. She avoided her parents' gaze, dodged their questions, and prayed they wouldn't notice the subtle changes in her demeanor. Every glance felt like suspicion, every silence like judgment. The walls of secrecy were closing in, and Emma knew it was only a matter of time before the truth exploded into the open. The shocking revelation was no longer just Emma's burden. It was the beginning of a chain reaction that would test love, loyalty, and the strength of family bonds. And once the truth came out, nothing would ever be the same again. Secrets have a way of slipping through cracks, and Emma's secret was no exception. For weeks, she had carried the weight of her revelation, hiding behind carefully rehearsed excuses and forced smiles, but the walls of secrecy were closing in, and one evening, the truth came crashing into her family's world. It began with suspicion. Emma's mother noticed the subtle changes. The way her daughter avoided eye contact, the way her clothes seemed chosen to conceal rather than reveal. Her father, too, sensed something was wrong. The family had always prided itself on transparency, on knowing one another's lives inside and out. Emma's silence was deafening, and it raised questions that demanded answers. The confrontation unfolded in the living room, under the harsh glow of the chandelier. Emma's parents sat across from her, their expressions a mixture of concern and authority. "Emma," her mother began, her voice trembling, "we need to know what's going on. You've changed. You're hiding something." Emma's heart pounded as she tried to find the words. But before she could speak, her father's voice cut through the silence. "Tell us the truth." And so, with tears streaming down her face, Emma confessed. She spoke of William, of the secret meetings, of the love that had blossomed in hidden corners. And finally, she revealed the truth that could no longer be concealed. She was pregnant. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap, shaking the foundation of the family's world. Her mother gasped, covering her mouth in disbelief. Her father's face hardened, his jaw clenched with a mixture of anger and disappointment. "Pregnant?" he repeated, as though saying the word might change its meaning. Emma nodded, her voice breaking as she whispered, "Yes, and I love him." The room erupted into chaos. Questions flew like arrows. How could she betray their trust? Who was this man? What would the community say? Emma tried to explain, tried to make them see the love she felt, but her parents were consumed by fear of scandal, of reputation, of the future they had envisioned for their daughter unraveling before their eyes. It was a confrontation that left scars. Emma's truth had shattered the illusion of control her parents held, and though the storm had only just begun, one thing was clear: the family would never be the same again. The revelation had ignited a fire that could not be extinguished, and the flames of conflict were only beginning to rise. News travels fast, and secrets rarely stay contained. What began as a private confrontation within Emma's home soon spilled into the streets, whispered in hushed tones and exchanged in knowing glances. The revelation of Emma's pregnancy and the identity of her secret lover, William, became the spark that ignited a storm of gossip across the community. It started with neighbors, a curious glance at Emma's changing demeanor, a subtle observation of her parents' strained expressions, and suddenly, speculation turned into certainty. Within days, the whispers had spread to friends, acquaintances, and even strangers. "Did you hear?" they murmured. "Emma's expecting, and it's not what her parents wanted." Each retelling added layers of drama, twisting the truth into something even more scandalous. For Emma, the gossip was suffocating. Every time she stepped outside, she felt the weight of eyes upon her, judging, questioning, dissecting her choices. The once familiar streets now felt hostile, lined with voices that spoke of her as though she were a cautionary tale. Her parents, too, bore the brunt of the storm. Their reputation, carefully built over years, was suddenly under siege. Invitations stopped arriving, friends grew distant, and the family name became synonymous with scandal. William faced his own share of scrutiny. As a businessman, his image was everything. Clients whispered behind closed doors, competitors seized the opportunity to question his integrity, and associates wondered if his personal life would tarnish his professional standing. Yet, through it all, William remained steadfast. He refused to let gossip dictate his love for Emma, even as the storm threatened to consume them both. But gossip has power. It shapes perceptions, fuels divisions, and creates wounds that are slow to heal. Emma and William found themselves fighting not just for their love, but for their dignity. Each day was a battle against the tide of rumors, each moment a test of resilience. And though they clung to one another, the question lingered. Could their bond withstand the relentless storm of public opinion? The gossip was more than idle chatter. It was a force that threatened to tear apart everything they had built in secret. And as the storm raged on, Emma and William realized that their love story was no longer just theirs. It had become a spectacle, a drama played out before an audience that demanded answers, consequences, and resolution. The storm of gossip had reached its peak. Emma's name was on everyone's lips, her family's reputation dragged through the mud, and William's career teetered on the edge of collapse. Yet, amid the chaos, one man refused to remain silent. William knew that if he didn't act, the whispers would consume them both. And so, he made a choice, a promise that would change the course of their story. It happened during a tense evening meeting between Emma and William. She was exhausted, her eyes swollen from tears, her voice trembling with fear. "They'll never forgive me," she whispered. "My parents, the community, they'll never see me the same again." William leaned forward, his gaze steady, his tone firm. "Then let them see me. Let them see the man who stands beside you no matter what." The next day, William took a step that shocked everyone. He called a gathering of close associates, family friends, and even those who had fueled the gossip. Standing tall, dressed in his sharp business suit, he addressed the crowd with unwavering confidence. "Yes," he declared, "Emma is carrying my child. And I will not hide from this truth. I love her, and I will take responsibility for her, for our child, and for the life we are building together." The room fell silent. Some gasped, others exchanged stunned glances, but William's words carried a weight that silenced the storm. His declaration was not just a defense, it was a promise. He vowed to protect Emma, to honor her, and to ensure that their love was not defined by scandal, but by commitment. For Emma, the moment was transformative. Watching William stand before the crowd, unafraid and unapologetic, filled her with a sense of hope she hadn't felt in weeks. He wasn't just her secret lover anymore. He was her partner, her protector, the man willing to risk everything for their future. Of course, not everyone was convinced. Some still whispered, some still judged, but William's promise had shifted the narrative. No longer was Emma seen as a victim of scandal. She was part of a love story that defied tradition and challenged the expectations of those around her. The businessman's promise was more than words. It was a turning point. And as Emma and William stood together, hand in hand, they knew the road ahead would still be difficult. But with his vow echoing in the hearts of those who heard it, their love had found a new strength, ready to face whatever came next. After weeks of tension, confrontation, and relentless gossip, Emma and William knew they could no longer live in the shadows. The businessman's promise had given them strength, but promises alone could not silence the storm. What they needed was a declaration, a moment that would turn whispers into celebration. And so, they made the decision that would change everything. They would announce their wedding. The announcement came not in secrecy, but in grandeur. Emma's parents, though still shaken by the revelation, agreed to stand beside their daughter. They understood that fighting against her love would only deepen the wounds already carved into their family. Instead, they chose to embrace the inevitable, hoping that a public declaration might restore some dignity to their name. On a crisp evening, the family gathered friends, relatives, and community members in their home. The air was thick with anticipation, every guest wondering what revelation awaited them. Emma, dressed in a simple yet elegant gown, stood beside William, her hand firmly clasped in his. Together they faced the crowd, their eyes filled with determination. William spoke first, his voice steady and commanding. "We are here tonight to share our truth. Emma and I are not just bound by love. We are bound by commitment. And on March 10th, 2027, we will celebrate our wedding." Gasps filled the room, followed by murmurs of disbelief and awe. The date was set, the decision final. Emma's parents stepped forward, their expressions a mixture of pride and resignation. Her mother placed a hand on Emma's shoulder, her father nodded solemnly, and together they offered their blessing. It was a moment that shifted the narrative from scandal to redemption, from whispers to applause. The announcement rippled through the community. Some still judged, some still whispered, but many began to see the story differently. No longer was Emma the subject of gossip. She was a bride-to-be, a woman standing boldly in love despite the odds. William's reputation, once threatened, began to recover as people admired his courage to stand by Emma publicly. For Emma, the announcement was liberating. The secret was no longer hers to carry alone. The world now knew, and though the road ahead would be filled with challenges, she felt a sense of peace. Their love was no longer hidden, it was celebrated, and the countdown to their wedding had officially begun. With the wedding date set, anticipation began to build. Emma and William's announcement had transformed the scandal into a spectacle, and now the community waited eagerly to see how the couple would prepare for their grand day. But what no one expected was the scale of generosity and extravagance that would soon unfold. Amber, Emma's mother, had struggled with the revelation at first. The confrontation had left her shaken, and the gossip had wounded her pride. Yet, beneath the disappointment, there remained a mother's love. A love that refused to let her daughter walk into marriage without support. And so, Amber made a decision that stunned everyone. She would gift Emma a house worth $1.5 million as a wedding present. The news spread quickly, turning whispers of scandal into gasps of astonishment. A gift of such magnitude was not just a gesture, it was a statement. Amber was telling the world that despite the turmoil, she stood by her daughter. She was reclaiming control of the narrative, transforming Emma's story from one of secrecy into one of triumph. For Emma, the gift was overwhelming. It wasn't just a house, it was a symbol of acceptance, of forgiveness, of a mother's willingness to embrace her daughter's future. preparations for the wedding took on a new energy. Designers were hired, venues were scouted, and plans for the celebration grew more elaborate by the day. Emma and William found themselves swept into a whirlwind of choices. Flowers, music, attire, and guest lists, all while balancing the weight of their past with the promise of their future. The community, once divided, now watched with fascination. Some admired Amber's generosity, others questioned the extravagance, but all agreed that the wedding was shaping up to be unforgettable. For William, the gift carried its own meaning. It was not just a house, it was a bridge between him and Emma's family, a sign that his commitment had earned their reluctant respect. He vowed to honor the gift, to build a life with Emma that justified the faith her mother had placed in them. Lavish preparations were underway, and the countdown to March 10th, 2027 had begun. What had started as a scandal was now evolving into a celebration, a story that promised to end not in whispers of shame, but in applause, laughter, and the beginning of a new chapter. The announcement had been made, the lavish gift revealed, and preparations were in full swing. Yet, as the calendar inched closer to March the 10th, 2027, the atmosphere around Emma and William grew heavier. The countdown had begun, and with it came a whirlwind of emotions. Anticipation, anxiety, and the lingering shadows of doubt. For Emma, each passing day felt like a test. She was caught between excitement for the life she was about to begin and the fear of what awaited her beyond the wedding vows. The whispers of gossip had quieted, but they had not disappeared. Every time she walked through town, she could still feel the eyes upon her, measuring her choices, questioning her future. Yet she held her head high, determined to prove that her love was stronger than judgment. William too felt the pressure. His business demanded his attention, but his heart was consumed by the upcoming ceremony. He wanted everything to be perfect, not just for Emma, but for the family he was about to join. He knew that the wedding was more than a celebration. It was a statement, a chance to show the world that their love was legitimate, resilient, and worthy of respect. Still, the weight of expectation pressed down on him, and the countdown became a constant reminder of the stakes. Inside the family home, preparations created both joy and tension. Amber busied herself with final details, determined to make the day unforgettable. Yet beneath her meticulous planning lay a mother's worry. Would the community truly accept her daughter? Would the lavish gift be seen as generosity, or as an attempt to buy back respect? These questions haunted her, even as she smiled through fittings and rehearsals. The days grew shorter, the nights restless. Emma found herself lying awake, imagining the moment she would walk down the aisle, the faces that would watch her, the vows she would speak. William, in his own solitude, rehearsed promises he intended to keep for a lifetime. Together, they clung to one another, finding strength in whispered reassurances as the countdown ticked away. The wedding was no longer just an event. It was a climax, a turning point, the moment that would define their story. And as the final days slipped through their fingers, Emma and William braced themselves for the storm of emotions that awaited them at the altar. March 10th, 2027. The day had finally arrived. After months of secrecy, confrontation, gossip, and preparation, Emma and William stood on the threshold of a new chapter. The morning sun bathed the town in golden light, as though nature itself had chosen to bless the occasion. Yet, beneath the beauty of the day, emotions ran high. This was not just a wedding. It was the culmination of a saga that had gripped family, friends, and community alike. The venue was adorned with elegance. Flowers cascaded from archways, music floated through the air, and guests filled the seats with anticipation. Some came out of love, others out of curiosity, and a few simply to witness the spectacle that had dominated conversations for months. The atmosphere was electric, charged with both joy and tension. Emma, dressed in a gown that shimmered with understated grace, walked slowly toward the aisle. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from the weight of the moment. Every step carried the memories of secret meetings, whispered promises, and the storm of gossip that had nearly broken her spirit. Yet, as she looked ahead and saw William waiting, her doubts melted away. He stood tall, his eyes locked on hers, a man ready to honor the vow he had promised to keep. Amber watched from the front row, her emotions a mixture of pride and lingering worry. The gift of the house had been her way of showing support, but today was about more than material gestures. It was about acceptance, about letting go of the past and embracing the future her daughter had chosen. As Emma passed by, Amber's eyes filled with tears. Tears of love, of forgiveness, of hope. The ceremony unfolded with grace. Vows were exchanged, promises spoken, and rings placed upon trembling hands. William's voice carried strength as he declared his devotion, while Emma's words trembled with emotion, yet rang with sincerity. The crowd, once divided, now sat in silence, moved by the authenticity of the moment. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, applause erupted. It was not just celebration, it was release, a collective sigh that marked the end of scandal and the beginning of something new. Emma and William kissed, sealing their bond before the world, and the storm that had once threatened to destroy them seemed to fade into memory. The wedding day was more than a ceremony, it was redemption. And as Emma and William walked hand in hand into their future, the story that had begun in secrecy found its resolution in love. The echoes of applause from the wedding day still lingered in Emma's mind as she stepped into her new life. The ceremony had been more than a union. It was a declaration, a turning point that transformed scandal into celebration. Now, as she and William settled into the home gifted by Amber, the weight of secrecy was gone, replaced by the promise of a future built on love and resilience. The house itself became a symbol of renewal. Its walls, freshly painted and gleaming, seemed to whisper of second chances. For Emma, it was more than bricks and mortar. It was proof that her mother had chosen forgiveness over judgment, love over pride. Each room carried the promise of memories yet to be made, of laughter, of family, of a life that was finally hers to shape. William embraced the new chapter with determination. The businessman who had once feared scandal now stood proudly as a husband and soon-to-be father. His reputation, once threatened, had been reshaped by his courage to stand by Emma. Clients respected him more, not less, for his honesty. Competitors who had doubted him now admired his resilience. And through it all, his devotion to Emma never wavered. The community, too, began to shift. Where once there had been whispers, now there were nods of respect. The story that had captivated them was no longer about scandal. It was about redemption, about a love that had endured trials and emerged stronger. Emma and William had become more than subjects of gossip. They had become symbols of perseverance. Amber watched her daughter with quiet pride. The confrontation, the tears, the sleepless nights, all had led to this moment. She had given Emma the gift of a home, but Emma had given her something greater, the reminder that love, even when messy and complicated, was worth fighting for. As she stood in the doorway of the new house, watching Emma and William laugh together, Amber knew the storm had passed. The new beginning was not perfect. Life rarely is, but it was real. And for Emma and William, that was enough. Their story, once hidden in shadows, now stood in the light, ready to be written one day at a time. And so, Emma and William's journey reaches its climax. From hidden room dates to whispered promises, from scandal to redemption, their love has endured storms that could have broken them. The wedding day may have silenced the gossip, but the future remains unwritten. Will their marriage truly withstand the pressures of expectation and community judgment? Will Amber's lavish gift of $1 million home bring peace, or will it spark new challenges? Will the whispers of the past fade, or resurface when least expected? And what destiny awaits their child, born into a story already marked by resilience and controversy? Here at UK Flix, we don't just tell stories. We leave you with questions that linger, pulling you back for the next chapter, because every ending is only the beginning of another tale. So, is this a happy ending, or simply the calm before another storm? More update. 7 Little Johnstons. Star Emma Johnston reveals she wants a relationship with estranged sister Anna. I think I need her back. Will Emma and Alex Johnston soon move out like Liz did? And who is mystery man Emma Johnston is touchy with? Emma breaks silence on relationship status. I will explain everything. Emma Johnston has finally spoken out about her relationship with her sister Anna and her parents, Amber and Trent, after months of their family dispute playing out on 7 Little Johnstons. Last week, Emma posted a video on TikTok about TV shows to watch, but the comments took a different turn. Many of her fans told her to walk away from her parents and reconnect with her older sister. Emma replied to several of the comments, giving us a lot of information about how she feels about making up with Anna and how much her parents affect her life. One person stated, "Stop letting your mom run your life. Don't let her ruin your relationship with your sister." Emma said, "I wish it were that easy to say, but it's not." Emma also said that she is trapped, which stops her from making up with her sister. She asked, "How am I supposed to?" A lot of fans thought this was a jab at her mom, Amber, who followers affectionately called the Warden in the comments. Someone else told Emma to get out from under her mom's control and be her own person. Anna has said before that her parents are to blame for the fight between her and her siblings, especially with Emma. Anna made her own TikTok video to call out Amber for keeping her brothers and sisters from communicating to each other. Anna said earlier this month, "My mom has stopped Emma and me from being friends. She warned her not to talk to me, text me, or post about me on social media." It has been said. What kind of parent is that? Emma said she wants to bond with her sister again, even though it's hard to do so while Anna is living with her parents. "Stay friends with your sister. She needs you," someone said. Emma answered, "I think I need her back," along with a crying emoji. As fans may remember, Emma and Anna used to be quite close, but Anna's remoteness from the rest of the family grew. Many admirers have backed Emma during her fight by leaving comments on her most recent postings, saying things like, "Sorry you are in the middle of this, Emma?" "It's not fair to you." Anna said in a TikTok tirade last week that Emma didn't want to film the scene that just aired on 7 Little Johnstons, where she and her brother Alex met up with Anna to talk about the fight. Anna claimed that she and Emma were texting each other on the side, hating it and not wanting to do it, but Emma had to. She had to do it for the movie. "Some of the things my parents did were not okay with her." Will Emma and Alex Johnston soon move out like Liz did? Fans of TLC's 7 Little Johnstons were shocked at the end of Season 8 when Trent Johnston forced Jonah to go and get his own place. Will he do the same to Emma and Alex Johnston? Jonah really took a lot longer to move out than Elizabeth Liz Johnston, who was the first to do it. Read on to learn more. TLC fans were surprised to see that Jonah Johnston didn't stay single for long. He went home soon after trying Delta 8. Liz Johnston, who went before Anna, got pregnant and is now back home. Anna argued with her parents till she ultimately left their house. Now she has her own home. As Emma and Alex Johnston get ready to go to college, 7 Little Johnstons fans naturally wonder if Trent and Amber would let them live on their own too. Some supporters even told the younger kids to get as far away from their parents as possible. They realized that Emma was responsible for making sure Jonah, 23, kept his room clean and woke up on time for work. Amber and Emma Johnston got along much better than Amber and Anna did. It looks like Anna and her mother fought for years. She is undoubtedly thrilled to be out of their house. Fans of 7 Little Johnstons think that Anna is not close to her parents. But Emma may not want to go. Critics of the TLC family on Reddit suggest her parents might want her to stay around longer. The OP on the social media site asked about Emma Johnston and her brother Alex, saying Alex and Emma, will Alex and Emma be told to move out now that they have both graduated, like all the other kids were? Some TLC fans thought that Alex Johnston might never leave till he marries his fiancée, Allie Smith, after the discussion that followed. Some people also weren't sure if Emma Johnston would leave. Here are some things they said. Emma had to stay home to make sure Jonah wakes up on time and cleans his room. Amber and Trent want Emma and Alex to fit into a certain mold. Anna was the bad kid who didn't fit in with the rest of them. Alex and Emma seem to never have to deal with stress. She needs Emma to watch her grown child, so she will definitely want her home. Alex has always been spoiled, and now they want to marry him off to his girlfriend and make them move because he can't do anything by himself. What do you think about the idea that Alex and Emma Johnston might stay at home far longer than their older siblings? Who is mystery man Emma Johnston is touchy with? Fans of 7 Little Johnstons noted a little but important element in recent moments where Emma Johnston gets close to a mysterious male. This made many viewers wonder who this person is. Thus, what do we know about this thus far? Emma Johnston has made it clear in 7 Little Johnston sequences that she hates being unmarried. When Alex Johnston first started dating someone, she was even a little sorry that he did it before she did. Emma is now without a mate because several of the TLC siblings have gotten together. A lot of people who watch 7 Little Johnstons want to know the same things about Anna Johnston, such what her relationship status is right now. Fans remember that Emma and Anna both went to the neighborhood dog park to meet single people who might be interested in dating them. But according to recent news from Anna Johnston, a lot of 7 Little Johnston's followers assume she has been slowly introducing her new beau on social media before making an official announcement later. Fans of 7 Little Johnstons were surprised by something that happened in one of the family parts during the LPA conference episode when the family went to Austin, Texas. In other screenshots that are going around online, Emma got a little too close to a gentleman who a lot of people didn't know. You can see Emma Johnston casually laying her hand on this guy's leg, which many viewers thought was strange at best and very disrespectful at worst. This guy is actually Jewett Kitchens Jr. He is Carrington, Trent Johnston's niece, lover. A lot of people thought it was strange that Emma was so close to someone who was already taken by a family member. Fans of 7 Little Johnstons have had questions about Emma Johnston before in the last few weeks. Fans pointed out that Emma sat between the legs of a TLC producer while taking a picture with the whole cast and crew except for Anna. Some fans of 7 Little Johnstons didn't like how Emma sat well with her arms on this man's thighs. In this scene from their time in Austin, cameras caught Emma placing her hand on the thigh of another man. People who saw it had a lot to say about it. One fan said, "You can't just put your hand here on any guy. What do you think?" Another person added, "She knew what she was doing." A third person said, "Emma has no limits, but I'm glad she stopped licking and wiggling her tongue out of her mouth on Instagram. It was gross." Emma breaks silence on relationship status. Fans of 7 Little Johnstons want to know if Amber Johnston and Trent Johnston's kids are dating. This is especially true now that they are all grown up. Emma Johnston recently spoke up about where things stand in her romantic life. What did she say? Fans of 7 Little Johnstons have been watching Emma Johnston and Alex Johnston on TLC since they were young. Since Emma is now 18 and an adult, she has to take on a lot more adult responsibilities. This is on top of everything else she has going on. Emma has a lot to do. Go to school, operate her own handcrafted jewelry business, film sequences for TLC, and try to have a social life. Fans of 7 Little Johnstons noticed that she even got her first job at a store in recent TLC episodes. A lot of people are interested in who Trent Johnston and Amber Johnston's kids are dating, now that they are all adults. In season 14, a lot of the episodes are about Liz Johnston's marital problems with Bryce Bolden and the birth of their daughter, Layton. Alex Johnston's bond with Allie Smith from Ohio has also been a big part of his story. With all of that in mind, a lot of fans of 7 Little Johnstons are curious about Emma. TLC followers want to know if Emma is dating anyone in particular. Fans often talk about who Emma Johnston might be dating. Many people who watch want to know if Emma has a crush on someone in particular in the comments and on message boards. Trent and Amber Johnston's daughter recently went forward to lay the record straight about her love life. Emma Johnston stated, "I just want to make sure everything is clear. I do not have a boyfriend, and even if I had, I might not tell anyone. The boy in the prom picture is also just a dear buddy of mine. Stop making all of these silly guesses, too." The main 7 Little Johnstons account just posted pictures from the prom that included Emma and Alex. There was also another individual with Emma, which made a lot of people think he might be her boyfriend. Emma says he definitely isn't. Also, based on the tone of her most recent message, it's evident that Emma Johnston is sick of all the talk about her relationship. At least for now, Emma has confirmed to fans of 7 Little Johnstons that she is not currently dating anyone. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.